Chargers went out last night and shocked the entire NFL by defeating the Kansas City Chiefs in week 1. And Justin Herbert's play had a lot to do with that success that they had against the Chiefs. And I'm actually happy about this because if you're a subscriber of this channel, you know I actually predicted this in this video up here. Let's dive into the film and see why Justin Herbert may be in store for his best season in the NFL yet, and why the Chargers are going to be one of the best teams in the NFL because of it. Okay, here we have the first play of the game, and you see here that on the left side of the field, they're going to have a cover 2 beater because they have a man going out in the flat, and then they have a deep out or a deep corner. And then on this right side of the formation, you're going to have what's called a jerk route, which is where Ladd McConkey comes over here and then jerks, fakes the outside, and then cuts inside. And then Quentin Johnson is sitting down with a curl route right there to try to beat zone coverage on this side of the field as well. So you have a man beater here in McConkey, you have a zone beater right here in the curl, and then you have a cover 2 beater on this side of the field. And let's see how it plays out and see what gets open for Herbert here on this play. Okay, here we see running backs open in the flat. McConkey's a little bit open, but Herbert does what he does best, right? He uses that 6'6" frame. He uses that athleticism to get himself open when he doesn't feel like there's a good option out there, right? So he's looking here and he sees 3 guys surrounding McConkey, right? Now, could he maybe make this throw to Quentin Johnson? Yeah, but that is a tight hole right there, and we don't want him doing that, right? We want him taking care of the football. Now, is this out right here open? Yes, but it'd still be a difficult catch. So, best thing to do, you have a wide open running lane up here. Run straight through it, and that's what he does. And he's so big that he's just not easy to tackle, right? Do you want your quarterback taking this type of a shot? Not at all, but he's big enough, it's okay every once in a while. Okay, so here on this play, we're going to have a boot concept called up. I really love this because coming into the season, everyone knew that the Chargers were going to be a run-dominant team. Jim Harbaugh loves to run the football, and Justin Herbert is really, really good off of play action. So the Chiefs themselves expected the Chargers to come into this game running the ball constantly, and they kept coming out in these heavier personnels to make the Chiefs think that was going to happen. But what ended up happening is they ran a ton of play action in this game, and it really caught the Chiefs off guard, and right here is a great example of this. The Chiefs are coming out in what looks like cover 3 pre-snap, and post-snap, it kind of looks like a variation of cover 3, but this guy's also got a few different responsibilities here that change it from cover 3 to cover 2 mid-play almost, if that makes sense, because he's going to ride high with this receiver and then come down late, and this guy's going to rotate up top. But it's just a weird coverage where they were clearly trying to stop the run, and it was just some weird variation of coverage. It's very easy to beat if you have time in the pocket, and I think boot is a really good concept versus it, so let's check it out. Okay, here you see fakes the handoff, wide open in the flat, right? Huge gain here. Really happy Quentin Johnson is catching the football. That is something that Chargers fans are really excited about. So the Chargers are driving the ball down the field, and here you see we're going to run sort of a unique concept, right? There's nothing really that they're trying to do here other than make it appear like they're running the ball and then have some receiver beat their man, right? So let's look at how it kind of plays out here and why they just continue to dominate the Chiefs throughout this game. Okay, as I mentioned, you motion your fullback down, you get him to block that edge, you allow yourself to step up, and look at this throwing lane you've created here, right? Very good job there. Keenan Allen's obviously not open. This seam is kind of more of a distraction route, I would say, but Ladd's going to have a free catch right there. Great job by Justin Herbert getting the ball out with great timing and anticipation. You love to see it there. Now we finally made it to the red zone, and we see here that the Chargers are going to motion to put themselves in what looks to be kind of sort of a mesh concept, but not really. You're mainly just trying to exploit certain coverages and make people kind of lose their zone a little bit down here in the red zone because things tighten up a lot, so it makes it very difficult in the NFL. So right now you're in what's called a trip set. So you're in gun, which is when the quarterback's in shotgun, and you're in trips because you have 3 guys to one side of the field, but you're going to motion Keenan Allen down and run gun doubles, right? And he's going to run just a quick hitch to make it sure that this corner stays down, right? To make sure that Trent McDuffie stays down. And then Quentin Johnson is going to cross his face and run through the field to try to get this linebacker to step down to him. And then McConkey, obviously he's a huge part of their offense. He's the one the defense usually catches up on. He's going to run this kind of I don't want to say curl route because it bends a little bit, but kind of this deep curl right here. And then Will Dissly is going to cut in behind. And it should be a situation where if this linebacker steps up to this route, then one of these two should be open, right? Because he should be on the inside of this corner, and Will Dissly should come in on the inside of him if this safety steps to him. But the Chiefs actually do a decent job here covering it. I think he probably should have hit Quentin Johnson on this play, but let's look at it and talk through it. Okay, as I mentioned, you motion Keenan Allen over, get to gun doubles. You have him on the hitch quick, right? He could have easily hit him there if he wanted to, but he was kind of hunting for this touchdown. He was waiting for Nick Bolton to bite down so he could hit Will Dissly right in behind him. Obviously, Bolton doesn't do that. He goes with him. So Herbert realizes, oh, wait, I missed the timing on this hitch. Steps up. He could have definitely thrown a ball out here to Quentin Johnson, don't get me wrong, but goes to run for it, doesn't take a sack, right? Picks up a yard or two. So I don't mind that too much. But this is definitely one of those plays where it's like one of the few times in this game that he could have made a better decision. Because him stepping up there pulls this safety back, and then he would have easily been able to throw it to this sideline for Quentin Johnson, especially how well he was throwing the ball last night. But that's just something small, minuscule, didn't really matter much because they're going to score the touchdown here, right? Okay, here's another one of the plays in this game where I felt like Herbert could have did a slightly better job. He didn't really do anything wrong. He actually gives a good enough ball where you think you probably should have had a touchdown here if Tyler Conklin hangs on to it. But what I want you to notice here is this is definitely a mesh concept, right? We are running pretty much everything to this side of the field, and then we're having Quentin Johnson here whose job is to pick one of the defenders guarding these crossing routes right here, right? And who I think he should have hit on this play is Amarian Hampton. Now, it's going to look like a crossbody throw and maybe something that a lot of people would say we don't throw in the NFL, but it was definitely wide open. And I think he has the talent and arm strength to hit this throw, so let's look at it really quick. Okay, here you see that Johnson's goal, like I mentioned, was to get in the way of Drew Tranquil, but Tranquil does a great job kind of taking his time here, and Quentin Johnson can't stay there or it'll be pass interference and it won't count anyway, even if he does get open. But I want you to notice, we said Keenan Allen has a post, right? This great coverage here, not going to get open. Quentin Johnson has a chance to get open, but this defender's probably going to come off of that and guard him. That's exactly what happens. In fact, Johnson's going to get laid out here, right? Herbert escapes the pocket. Great job there by him. Now, what he's looking for, he's looking for Conklin to make it to this back pylon, and he's going to hit him there. But Nick Bolton is an exceptional linebacker, especially in pass coverage and stopping the run as well. Like, he's been one of the key contributors to this Chiefs defense being so good these past few seasons. So he's actually going to outpace Tyler Conklin here and make a pretty good play on the ball to disrupt it. But I want you to notice Amarian Hampton right here, right? If we just play it, yes, we aren't supposed to throw back across the body. But he is open enough here where it would not matter if we do because Chris Jones is taking the rest of the play off, right? He sees Hampton right in front of him, but he isn't really worried about it. Obviously not a playoff game. It's week 1 of the NFL season. You'd love to see effort there, but Jones is getting up there in age. So it doesn't matter too much, but Hampton's definitely open. If he flips those hips and throws it back across his body, might be a touchdown, might not. I think he probably gets in though, but as you can see, Waits puts a really great ball, right? Like, gotta catch that straight off our hands, right? But great defense too by Nick Bolton, right? So at the end of the day, the other team gets paid as well. But I think if he would have looked and realized that Hampton was going to be also cutting back across the middle of the field and there was no one else on that side of the field who could guard him, maybe he looks to Hampton there and makes a really great play for a touchdown. But overall, still a really good play there by Herbert. Now let's look at the touchdown play from that drive. And this is actually one of my favorite concepts, especially inside of the red zone. It's a version of mesh where you're pretty much making everything just one big cluster in the middle of the field, right? And the reason I like it so much is because you're taking everybody on this side of the field and they're crossing the quarterback's face. And you're taking everybody from this bunch over here on this side of the field and they're crossing the quarterback's face. And it absolutely destroys man coverage because, like I mentioned earlier, the red zone is crowded. There are a bunch of people in here and they're all just trying to make sure they're getting their man. And what you're going to see here is, as I mentioned on the last play, we had Quentin Johnson trying to set a pick for his teammate, right? And it didn't work out the best, but on this play, he's actually going to set a pick for himself. And this is textbook wide receiver play. Quentin Johnson had an incredible game. And I just want to showcase his ability right here. And he's actually the reason this touchdown is scored. Now, it's a great job by Justin Herbert going through his reads, seeing what's open, throwing a great ball. But Quentin Johnston runs an amazing route right here. And I just want you to check it out and watch what he does to Trent McDuffie using this linebacker, Drew Tranquil, right here. Just watch this. Watch how he ducks under Tranquil. And Trent McDuffie's just trying to get around him. He doesn't know how he's going to do it. And he just ducks under him. Tranquil knocks him over. And then Quentin Johnston's just wide open in the end zone. You see Amari Hampton right here. Didn't even realize he was there and was about to try to make a crazy play on the ball right there. But great catch. Great throw right there. And just a really good job not getting hurt right here by him. But I also want you to notice the throw from Justin Herbert, right? Like, he is stepping up in the pocket, taking all of his body weight, leaning back, and just gets enough on this ball to throw an incredible pass, and then takes an absolute pop in the back here by George Karlaftis. I'm pretty sure a foul got called right there, but incredible play there by Herbert. Great route. Incredible textbook wide receiver play right there by Quentin Johnston. Love to see it. Now let's kick it off with his next drive of the game. Here you see they're on the 1 yard line, and the Chargers aren't playing it safe against this Chiefs team. They know they have to outscore the Chiefs to win the game, so they're not about to run into stacked boxes 3 plays in a row and just give up the drive, right? So they're coming out, and I love this play call. You're motioning in your big fullback, and you're making it seem like you're running the ball, and you're going to run hard play action and force the Chiefs to think that you're handing it off so you can hopefully get a shot play in on them, right? It doesn't end up working, but I love the concept, and I think Justin Herbert could have made it work if the play call was a little bit better. And what I mean by that is I really wish that they rolled him out here and changed his launch point to right here so that he could hit this out or hit Amari Hampton over the middle right here, right? And the reason that is because you're running Quentin Johnston straight into this safety, right? The safety's going to take this away. And then this play right here by Ladd McConkey, he's going to end up getting a kind of free release off the line, but what ends up happening is because they have this switch release, the corner comes down on him pretty hard and he doesn't get open at all. But Keenan Allen is going to get open, and so is Amari Hampton, but because Herbert was looking for this down the seam shot on this switch release here to Quentin Johnston, he actually misses it due to his size and strength and speed and everything like that. He doesn't end up taking a safety, and that's why I really love this play call. I just really wish they changed this launch point to right here, because if they would have did that, it would have made this play a huge success in my opinion. Let's watch it though. Here you see we motion the fullback in, help him take care of him. And I want you to just look at this. Look at this incredible blocking up against this stacked box right here. That's really impressive here by the Chargers. But like I mentioned, I would have loved for them to change his release point so that when Hampton releases and when Keenan wins on this out route, he hits it, right? But this is obviously the side of the field they want him to read, so they're not going to change that release point, right? The safety switched when they switched down here, and he's coming over to play the cover one robber. So you would have been better having a route like a post or something like that, a slant, something of that nature, or just look to this side of the field. So let's let it keep playing. I want you to notice here, he was hunting down here, and here Keenan Allen comes open on this sideline. Hampton's also open right here. Now you can also say McConkey's open, but Trent McDuffie's a really good corner, right? There's a chance you throw this ball and it gets batted away, something crazy happens, you throw a pick. So I would just avoid throwing Trent McDuffie's side this close to the end zone. But I also want you to notice right here, Joe Alt is handling his own versus Chris Jones. And you see this guy's releasing here off this fullback, which is why I wish you changed the launch point and you would have had a clean pocket still right here and you would have been able to zip this throw in. What ends up happening, Herbert sees him in his face and just has to throw it away. But you saw Keenan Allen's eyes lit up. He thought he was wide open. He thought the ball was coming to him, but great job not taking a safety there by Justin Herbert. Okay, here on this play, we're going to have just a quick little spacing concept, which Herbert does a really good job on of getting to his 3-step drop and getting the ball out of his hand quick to hit Ladd McConkey here on the hitch. Let's look at it. Like I said, back foot, boom, right? Great job there by Herbert. Just operating the ins and outs of playing quarterback in the NFL. You have to hit those to pick up those chunks to give yourself easy first downs, right? This was my absolute favorite play of the game here by the Chargers. And the reason why this is because this is exactly what I expected them to be this season. That's exactly why I made this video right here, because my whole point in making this video was that the Chargers could come out in such big of sets that they were able to scare any team into having to fully commit as many bodies as possible into the box so that things like this would happen. People just don't get as open as this tight end right here does in the NFL, right? And it's simply because what they do is they motion down their fullback to have a block, and then they have this offensive guard put into motion as well to just completely destroy the Chiefs on this play, because the linebackers are biting down because they think it's some type of trap play where he's coming over and he's just having huge guards and fullbacks pave the way for him. But no, this tight end is sneaking up the seam and is going to get so open that there's no one within 20 yards of him, and he gets a massive gain here on this play. Let's check it out. Like I mentioned, you're just putting them in motion. Look at these big bodies. I mean, they could hand it off if they wanted to. And as long as he stays patient, he's going to pick up quite a few yards. You also have Ladd McConkey, who's going to be open out here, but he's going to come up and make this play. But I want you to watch this tight end right here. Watch how he sneaks up. No one should ever be this open in the NFL. But it happens, and this is why I think the Chargers might just be a top 2 team in the AFC this season. Just incredible play calling there. Unfortunately, the tight end fumbles here, but thankfully Ladd McConkey comes over and bats it out of bounds. Just incredible play calling. Great job moving the pocket. Like I mentioned on that other play, I love when you move the launch point for a quarterback. You get him out wide, allow this tackle to truly get a one-on-one out in space, and allow the quarterback to read that. And when you do that, he's just got a great throwing lane right here, straight up the seam for a huge 50-yard gain. Now, the fumble having to be batted out of bounds clearly negates this, but man, this is just an incredible play call. Once again, we're coming out in gun bunch here on this next play, but we're going to motion over and let the defense tell us what they're in really quick. So I'm going to get it over the motion, and then we're going to draw up the play for you guys. Okay, so here you see that Herbert's actually going to have a pretty good play that Greg Roman dials up for him, right? On this left side of the field, we're going to have a drag route and a post route. So we're running a levels concept to the left side, which is going to do a really good job beating man. And it's also probably going to do a pretty good job against both cover 2 and cover 3 on this side of the field, right? But then on this right side of the field, we have something kind of interesting. We have Keenan Allen on this left side, who's running a deep corner route, and it's going to put him over Trent McDuffie, the corner right here, and he's going to cut before he makes it to this safety. So there's a chance we have a window right here to throw this football for a completion. But what I also love about this is we only have 3 defenders on this side of the field. So if both of these DBs go with him, then that means we have 1 guy, and then we also have 2 guys on offense, right? So we have a numbers advantage on this side of the field if both of them ride with Keenan Allen. So that part of me says, hey, let's hunt deep to Keenan Allen right here. And if both of them go with Allen, let's find which one of these is open and let them make the big play for us. But Justin Herbert, man, he trusts his arm a lot. He has a lot of confidence in himself, and I love that in a quarterback. And you're going to see why that is so clutch and important here when he makes one of the best throws you're going to see all season long. Let's check it out. Okay, as I mentioned, right here, you see 35 does a pretty good job against Quentin Johnson. I'm sure he has a flat over here and he's just matching him. Next up, we see that 27's also running with McConkey, which tells us we might have an inverted look. And what I mean by that is we might have man coverage to this side of the field and zone over here, since we see they're in what looks to be some sort of cover 2 look to this side of the field, right? Because you have 1 deep safety. This guy's trying to come down and play this flat. He just went a little bit too high with Keenan. And then you have both linebackers down here playing hook curls. So, like I mentioned, I would personally look to Disley to pick me up about an easy 10 yards here, or throw it really quick to the flat to Hampton, allow Disley to block for him, and then hit Hampton for a huge gain, right? Because it'll be one-on-one with the corner in the open field. But like I mentioned, Herbert trusts his arm. He sees this window right here, as small as it is, and he believes he can hit it. And that's exactly what he does, and it goes straight off of Keenan Allen's hands. But I just want you to look at that throw. I mean, that's incredible, right? We are throwing right here from the 35 all the way to the other 35. And I know you're saying, oh my goodness, man, that's only 30 yards. But he's also throwing it to the corner of the field, right? So add another about 10 to 15 yards on it. And right here, he's throwing a 50-yard ball on the money straight into Keenan Allen's hands. And I know Keenan Allen wishes he could have this ball back because he has got to catch that. That's an incredible throw and catch if he does, but unfortunately, he drops it here. But after that play, let's look at what happens next here for the Chargers. And I actually really, really love this concept, especially against the coverage that's being ran against them here. We see here that there's one deep safety on the field, right? And what that tells Herbert pre-snap is this is probably cover one or cover three, right? And because this outside corner is playing so far off this receiver, it tells us it's probably cover three because he wouldn't be able to guard a slant or something quick like that, right? So that immediately tells us, hey, how do we beat cover three? Well, we know this go route isn't really going to work super well. And because of that, we're going to ultimately use it as a decoy, and we're going to use these kind of spray routes over here where we have a quick underneath route, a quick kind of, I don't want to call it a post or a crosser. It's kind of a hybrid of the both, but it's kind of a crosser that cuts up the field, and then we have a backside dig right here. The best thing is the backside dig because this is going to carry this underneath linebacker. This is going to carry this linebacker, and then we're going to ultimately beat this safety to the inside, and we should be wide open here for a pretty huge gain. And I really love this concept, and Justin Herbert does a great job. Okay, so let's watch it. The Chargers here rotate safeties late. They rotate over to cover two or cover two zone. And that's ultimately even better for us, right? Because these safeties get so much depth because they're running back that Keenan Allen is just easily able to sneak in behind Shamari Connor here. We also see kind of everything underneath is open too because of that. So really great job here opening up a throwing lane for Herbert and him just putting a decent ball in here. Obviously, he could put a better ball right there, but he did that just to ensure that nothing was picked off. Great catch here by Keenan Allen to make up for that last play, though. Also prevents him from getting popped or anything like that. Next up, we see here the Chargers are coming out in what is called a layers concept once again. And this is a pretty easy read for the quarterback, right? Because everything's on one side of the field. This is what we call a half field read. Justin Herbert's main job here is to execute the play action. The linebackers hopefully bite down. And when they do that, they'll go to recover, see the running back in the flat, and they'll go to cover him. This wide receiver right here will take away the deep safety, and this fullback sneaking out of the backfield, who's actually a tight end, is going to get open on a corner, and that's why it's called a level, is because this guy's under him, this guy's over him, and he's kind of open in this window right here. So let's look at how Justin Herbert does an incredible job executing this play. Motions over the fullback, like I mentioned, just incredible, right? Gets to that back foot and is already getting ready to release the ball. Great throw on the money. Incredible job there by Herbert. On this play, I'm not even going to do much talking. I'm just going to let Herbert speak for himself here, right? Just incredible here. To have a quarterback this big that can run this fast, it's very Josh Allen-esque. And if Justin Herbert can play like this consistently, the NFL needs to be scared. Here we have one of my absolute favorite concepts in all of football, especially against man coverage, and that's why it works so well on this play here. What it is you have trips to the strong side of the field, and right here we're going to run triple slant. And what triple slant means is exactly what it says. Triple slant, you're going to have three slants to one side of the field all coming in behind each other. And that's why it beats man coverage so well, is because each corner or safety or linebacker, whoever's lined up on each of the players, is so focused on them that they can't get in the way of the other players. And it's because of that that all that has to happen for this play to be successful is for one of these three people to win. And if this safety cheats down to help, then you have this guy on the backside post who's going to come wide open for a touchdown. So I absolutely love this play call, and I think it should be in more teams' playbooks, and it should be run more often across the NFL. Let's look at it play out here. You see all this space for Ladd McConkey here. Now, Herbert doesn't give him the best ball in the world. I would love for Herbert to give him a ball right there and let him just get to the races. These were the type of balls that OBJ used to take to the house, Jamar Chase takes to the house, that type of stuff. So great throw and catch here, but I wish Justin Herbert put a better ball on him here. That's one of the few plays of the game where I felt like Herbert could have did a much better job. Next up, we have another incredible play call, Greg Roman started to really get into his bag here on this drive and a few more other ones in this game. But specifically, I loved a lot of the play calls on this drive. Here, we're going to have a concept that's kind of based on Samurai, but it does something a little different. And what Samurai is, it's when you kind of max protect in here and you have this receiver right here, your X receiver, go on a deep post, and you have your Z receiver go on a deep cross. And it does a really great job against a lot of coverages, specifically cover 3 and cover 2. But what they do right here is they run a variation of it where this X receiver fakes the post and cuts back to the back pylon, right? And this cross is going to get extremely open because of that, because this deep safety and this corner are going to ride with the deep corner route, right? So the cross is going to get wide open. But I want you to also notice both the underneath routes are going to get open and this check and release to the flat is going to get open as well. Pretty much every single thing except for this decoy route up here is getting wide open on this play, and this is an incredible cover 4 beater. And we know pre-snap we're in cover 4 because both of these safeties are playing quarters of the field, which means they're only playing this part of the field and this part of the field. And we know that because they're so close to each other. And this corner's backed off a receiver away from here, so it could be Tampa too. He could be coming out here to play a flat, but either way, this is going to work perfectly against that as well. But we see he backs up, and we see this corner backs up as well, right? So let's look at how it's executed, and I'm going to let you know it's to perfection right here. Play action, linebackers are right here. See, they're not even coming up to guard this or getting up depth to guard this. So like I said, everything's open here. Great pitch and catch there from Justin Herbert to Ladd McConkey. McConkey's truly a special weapon for this Chargers team. Here we have another play where I think Justin Herbert could have did a lot better job on, and it's simply because I think he just could have did a better job playing on time with anticipation and hitting his receiver in between his zone for a huge pickup, and instead he takes off with his feet and makes an okay play, but nothing near in comparison to what he should have had on this play. But to only have something this minor throughout this entire game really shows just how good of a game Justin Herbert truly played against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are typically one of the best defenses in the NFL. Let's check it out. Okay, so here you see 51's back is turned to Herbert, and Herbert's staring him down. Herbert should know I can wait for the cut, and as soon as he's going to cut, I can fit this ball in right here before this safety is able to make a play on it. And you see it's still open. Herbert's continuing to stare it down, doesn't make the play, and just decides to take off, slide, pick up 3 or 4 yards. Once again, not a bad play, just nothing in comparison to what he could have had. Okay, here's another play where I think Justin Herbert could have did a better job not premeditating pre-snap what he was going to do with the football. And what I mean by that is Justin Herbert clearly sees that it's man coverage here, sees Quentin Johnston, and says, okay, I'm going to take my one-on-one on the outside with him. And I don't think that's a good idea because Trent McDuffie's a really, really good football player. And we have routes to beat man coverage, right? We have McConkey here on a motion to hit an out route, which always beats man coverage. I have a drag that's going to run across the field from the defender, and you actually see he's going to get picked here by this route that's coming in. So I really think he could have did a much better job here, but I honestly just believe that this is one of those small things yet again where he could have read the field a little bit better, but once again, I don't really mind the mistake here. Let's check it out. Okay, like I mentioned, McConkey gets motioned down. You see Keenan's wide open, right? Like completely, no one within 25 yards of him. Everyone's back's turned. You can probably get all the way to 45 here without even being tackled or touched. But like I mentioned, Herbert sees pre-snap that Johnson's going to be one-on-one on the outside here, and he just wants to take a shot, right? Trent McDuffie's a really good football player, though, so it has to be a perfect ball, and it's a really good one, but Johnson's just completely locked up on that play. Now we're going to have a play that it's a great example of how good of a job Justin Herbert did at playing on time with anticipation, right? We're going to have Quentin Johnston down here who's isolated on this side of the field from any other receiver on the team. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow him to win his rep in man coverage. And as long as Justin Herbert gives him a really good ball on time, in rhythm, it's going to look really, really good and be a pretty easy completion here for him. Let's check it out. Okay, Justin Herbert hits that back foot, watches for the break, and hits him perfectly in the chest. Great job. Once again, happy that Quentin Johnston's catching footballs again. Okay, now we're going to look at his other passing touchdown in the game. I think he had 3 total, and I believe we've only looked at 1 so far. But I really like this concept here, and I think this was a great read and a great job pre-snap of understanding what they're in and making an excellent throw to go on top of it. What we're going to have here is a levels concept to both sides of the field. We're going to have the running back on just a quick out up here, and that's going to just ensure that someone has to be over here or he'll be wide open for a walk-in touchdown. And then we're going to have a post and a dig underneath it, or an in because of how short it is, which is going to be a levels concept where we're leveling off the defenders saying, hey, what's open? This is really good against cover 2, by the way. And on the other side of the field, we also have a really good cover 2 beater because we have another levels concept where McConkey goes to the flat, Keenan Allen runs a deep corner to the pylon back here, which puts whatever deep safety that's in this position right here into a situation where he can't get to Keenan Allen in time, and it's going to be an easy touchdown. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, as I mentioned here, you probably have Will Dissly over the middle here, right? Because that's a good cover 2 beater. But you know what's even more open? Keenan Allen on this back pylon throw. Just walk in, easy touchdown there. Love to see it. Okay, now we skipped over to Justin Herbert's final touchdown of the game. The touchdown to pretty much seal up the game and put them in a 2-possession lead. But of course, it was a Chiefs, so they battled back on their last drive of the game and made it where he had the final drive that we're going to look at next. What I love here is we actually have Ladd McConkey who's going to go into motion, and it's going to reveal pre-snap to Justin Herbert, hey, we have a cover 0 look. The best thing about cover 0 is when you can isolate all your receivers to one side of the field and just allow them to run away from the defenders with all this green grass. And that's what's going to happen here with Quentin Johnson, and we're going to have a free walk-in touchdown. Once again, a great job here by Justin Herbert. I want you to look at the off-platform throw and how good of a job he does here. Watch, just goes back in the pocket, realize what he has, and just a great pitch and catch once again for an easy touchdown. Okay, now we're on the final drive of the game. I'm not really going to break this down too much. We're just going to look at it and understand why I love the play calling, right? 2 minutes left in the game. They have 3 timeouts. Most people are going to come out and run the ball, play it safe, but they understand we can't just do this with the Chiefs. We have to actually beat them, and that's what they do here. Now you have a 3rd down call. You've got it all the way to 3rd down, and most people just run the ball, play it safe, but they keep the ball in Justin Herbert's hands. They say, hey, we have to win this football game, so we're going to give it to our best player and let him win it for us. You have Chris Jones lined up on the edge. He's trying to get busy pretty much, and he goes for an inside rip move, but he doesn't realize he just left the contain against man coverage, and Justin Herbert wins them the football game and makes the slide. You know, the casual just I'm better than you baseball slide right there that quarterbacks like to do when they end the game. Overall, though, great game by Justin Herbert. If he continues to play like this, he will without a doubt be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I'm glad he finally got over his hump of the Chiefs, and I think the Chargers are going to have a really, really good season. Let me know down below what you think, and thanks for watching. See you.